privilege to talk about how very wonderful Jennifer Valeriana is at Harmony Elementary. It's been said that the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. Great teachers, like Jennifer Valeriana, are the souls of an enlightened society. And I said I wouldn't get emotional, but it's really hard when you talk about awesome people like that day in and day out come in your school and do the most amazing things with children. She obtained her degrees from Florida Atlantic University and Walden University, and she's one of the few people that have her national board certification, which is amazing. But let me tell you what some of her co-workers have said about her. Jennifer has the unique ability to maintain the highest classroom expectations while meeting the diverse needs of her kindergarten students. She is well known for her willingness to help colleagues by filling in when needed, performing extra duties, or volunteering to take on additional tasks. Mrs. Valeriana is well respected among parents, teachers, and administrators for being knowledgeable in all aspects of teaching standards, as well as integrating new teaching techniques in the classroom environment. She even came in this summer when she didn't have to work and showed me all the really cool things she had gotten off the teachers' paid teachers. You know those people, this is what another colleague said, you don't mind asking to help because they are always willing to do just about anything, like write grants, do car duty, be interviewed by the school newscast, go to after-school meetings, and always come with a smile. That's Jennifer. She's a willing member of several leadership committees and is an asset to any group. Her classroom is always cheerful and full of learning activities involving all students. Another coworker said, I think one of the things that stands out most is how her little guys are exposed to the things bigger kids use, like anchor charts and interactive notebooks. She allows children to suffer through the consequences of their choices, like the day they put their notebooks up messy, and the following day it took a lot longer to get them. So she sat patiently and reminded them of the importance of doing it right the first time. Jennifer is a unique teacher with a talent for blending all of the roles a teacher plays into one. She can be a mom, a dad, a nurse, a counselor, or whatever she needs to be. In her words, my greatest satisfaction comes from seeing the joy on a young learner's face as they apply a skill we've been working on in class. Watching my students coming into class each day with smiles on their faces and an eagerness to learn, receiving an email or hug from a parent that tells me how much their son or daughter has learned in my class. To me, the greatest reward was when I realized my thinking that a one-size-fits-all lesson plan was not reaching my students. It was when I began differentiating my lessons that I saw that true spark in each learner's eye. My youngest students quickly began to notice that they were completing different activities than their peers. I feel they were comforted by this, and it encouraged them to take more academic risk. I felt that they respected me for it, that the work they were given wasn't too hard or too easy. When my students looked around, they were successful with what they were able to do, and they could do their work. My teaching style focuses on the learner, Jennifer said. I want my students to understand that when they are working with me in small group or individually, that I have their whole attention. My students enjoy the small group or one-on-one time with me, and I enjoy learning what motivates them. I've listened to countless stories about karate, dance, and summer vacations, and when I need my students to listen to me teach them a new skill or concept, they are willing and ready to listen. It is gaining good rapport with my students that makes them successful in my classroom and thus builds foundations for success in the upper grades. In my words, Jennifer is a leader among her peers. She lives her life with intention and positively influences all situations. She chooses not to focus on the struggles of today, but rather the better things that lie ahead when we overcome those challenges. She examines things carefully and holds fast to those which are good. She doesn't let opposition knock her off course, but rather it motivates her to keep going. She is an inspiration at Harmony. Jennifer empowers her parents and comes alongside them. She builds genuine relationships with her students and families that live long past their kindergarten year. She sends parents pictures of their students if they've earned a special treat or reward. She unselfishly gives them her time, a person's most valuable resource. Jennifer's students feel like they are one of a kind. She not only embraces their differences, but also celebrates them. Jennifer instills in them that rarities make them special and are no mere accident or quirk of fate. She convinces them that they have been created in order so that they can make a difference and have the power within them to change the world. What she conveys to her students is that they have worth, that they can learn, that they can achieve high goals. They face life each day better prepared because of her influence. And these are the reasons why Jennifer Valeriana is Harmony's Teacher of the Year. Come on up, Jennifer.
Good evening, Dr. Perry, members of the school board, honored guests. It's my privilege to introduce to you tonight Mrs. Courtney Davis. Courtney is a product of the Pickens County school system. She holds a master's degree and has taught 13 years. I'm very pleased to say she has taught her entire professional career at Hill City Elementary, primarily in kindergarten. She's been actively involved as a teacher leader at our school in numerous areas, some of which are grade level chairperson, school improvement and leadership team member, new teacher mentor, school advisory council, PTO executive board member, and Striving Readers grant team member. Courtney is always willing and eager to volunteer her time to any endeavor at Hill City that will benefit students. Courtney is married to Robert and has two wonderful children who attend Hill City, Riley and Reese. As I thought about what I could say tonight to you to impress upon you how wonderful Courtney is and what a fabulous teacher she is, a quote by Carl Jung comes to mind. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touch our human feelings. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and the soul of a child. I feel it says what a great teacher is, and Courtney certainly exemplifies this. While all teachers are vital to the educational process, the impact of a tremendous and dynamic kindergarten teacher can shape a child's vision of school from the first moment they walk into that building. It is the responsibility of a kindergarten teacher to take that wide-eyed wonder and translate it into the joy of learning. Courtney always refers to her students as her special friends, and under her guidance, they grow from what we call our Hill City Kinder Babies into academically successful students ready to face the challenge and rigor of their school career. Courtney teaches the students the curriculum, but so much more. She teaches them, of course, about letters, numbers, reading, writing. She teaches them how important it is to think for themselves, about how your voice should be at 0 or 1, and there's no need to shout, and how it is that you should make and keep your friends, and how it's okay to say you're sorry when you make other people cry, and about how making mistakes is part of growing up, and it's okay to be wrong, and about how it is to work with others and to be part of a team. I present to you an integral part of our team at Hill City Elementary, Mrs. Courtney Davis, Hill City Elementary 2015 Teacher of the Year.
Good evening. Before I introduce Jasper's Teacher of the Year, Ms. Kelly Weaver, I want to ask, how many of you remember a commercial several years ago done by Bank of America? It was where a class was visiting a museum, a middle school class. A little boy dressed in white, maybe 12, 13 years old, was the only one that did any of the speaking. It went something like this. He said, "I told my father I wanted to grow up to be a teacher." "Would you rather be a doctor?" he said. "It's a noble profession, and you may become wealthy." The boy said, "That may be true, but without teachers, where would doctors come from?" And that's always been a great commercial. It just says a lot about teaching. And I believe that teaching is one of the greatest and most difficult jobs a person could choose. Where would we be today without teachers? How many of you would say that you had a teacher that's changed your life, affected your dreams, changed your future? As an elementary principal, I want to thank each teacher here tonight for the awesome job that you do every day. And yes, Miss Kelly Weaver. Miss Weaver grew up here in Pickens. She lived here all her life. She attended Jasper Elementary School, graduated from Pickens High School in 1993, still just a baby. But she also wanted to be a teacher at a young age, just like the little boy on the commercial. And she completed her undergraduate degree in North Georgia, her master's and specialist degree at Piedmont College. And she only has 2 chapters left before she finishes her dissertation and become known as Dr. Weaver. And Tony, I don't care what she says, you do not have to call her Dr. Weaver at home. Kelly has the support of a loving family. With her tonight is Tony, her husband, her daughter Mackenzie, son Anthony, and her mom, Miss Linda Jordan. So why is Kelly here tonight? Why did JES choose Kelly as our Teacher of the Year? I believe it's because they see Kelly moving from a good teacher to a great teacher, from a teacher to a teacher leader. You know, in thinking about that transition, going from a good teacher to a great teacher, you have to ask the question, what's the difference between a good teacher and a great teacher? Both are very professional. They care about their students. They know their curriculum. They communicate well with parents. They're team players. They both want their classes to excel in all measures. They develop a special relationship with their students, and their students know that they care for them and love them. So what's the difference? I believe a great teacher is one that creates magic in the classroom. When they teach a novel study, they have a class believing that they're in the middle of the story. I believe a great teacher opens the door to a student and opens the world and creates within that student the belief that the world is theirs for the taking. I believe a great teacher is one who helps create dreams or to assist in the development of those dreams and has the ability to look at their class and see future doctors, scientists, presidents, CEOs, inventors, and yes, also future great teachers. I believe a great teacher has the ability to show a student the future. They show the student who they may become, even when times the student can't see it within themselves. I believe one great teacher has the power to move a child from a future of poverty to a future of prosperity. I believe a great teacher instills hope in all students and is the only hope for some students. Along with Jasper Elementary School, I believe Kelly Weaver is a great teacher, and she is our Teacher of the Year.
Teacher of the Year honorees and their families, members of the board, Superintendent Perry, honored guests, and my fellow colleagues. Tate Elementary's Teacher of the Year, Brittany Gaddis, wears many hats. She's wife to Nate, daughter to Stacy and Ronnie Fields, who are with us this evening, and mommy to 2-year-old Sawyer. who is not with us this evening. And that's before she switches hats and comes to school where she becomes grade level chair for first grade, PTO teacher representative, school council member, co-chair of the school climate committee, yearbook staff member, member of our Striving Reader Grant Award Committee, and a dynamo at afternoon carpool duty. And then she goes on and teaches all subjects to her 24 first grade students. So as you can see, Brittany's influence in our school is far-reaching, not only to her students, but also to her peers. Like many of us who have chosen education as our life's career, Brittany spent many hours playing school. Her favorite place to play was at her grandmother's house. Her grandmother, Althea Godfrey, was a paraprofessional at Jasper Elementary, and Brittany thought that her grandmother had the best job in the whole entire world. Well, Brittany also remembers that her grandmother's second job, at which she worked after school and during summer break just to make things meet. As Brittany got older, she realized the tremendous love that her grandmother had for school. Why else would she work 2 jobs instead of finding a single, more financially rewarding job? You see, our grandmother had so much love to give to students and to her peers that the sacrifice was worth it. Brittany learned a very valuable lesson from her grandmother, to never settle for anything less than what she deserved or wanted. With that motivating thought, following her graduation from Pickens High School, Brittany pursued a bachelor's degree in education at Kennesaw State University and later earned a master's degree from Piedmont College. She began her teaching career at Hill City Elementary, where she taught kindergarten, then 4th and 5th grades, and in 2010 was promoted to Tate, where she teaches first graders. Sorry, Carlton. For the past 2 years, Brittany has partnered with one of our special education teachers to provide a co-taught setting for some of our special needs students. This makes it possible for all of the students in her class to receive the benefit of having 2 teachers to support them in their academics while remaining in the regular education classroom. It also requires that the special education teacher and the regular classroom teacher collaborate and work seamlessly as a team in planning and providing learning opportunities for all their students. Brittany recently shared that she is not the same person she was when she started her teaching career. She believes that teaching, as well as life in general, has changed her. She smiles when she reads back over the beliefs that she had as a college student. She wrote then about the importance of pushing each student to their highest potential. And while she still feels that it is her responsibility to challenge each student on their own level to reach their personal best, her educational philosophy is now much more complex. Now, academic student success is just a piece of the puzzle. You see, as a novice teacher, Brittany didn't realize the diversity that existed in the lives of her students. Over the years, her students have had a variety of family arrangements, economic standings, and medical and psychological issues. She now believes that teaching the whole child is what education is all about. When you walk into Brittany's classroom at Tate Elementary, you don't just walk into a classroom, you walk into a community. And it's a community built on love, support, and trust. In this community, everyone is a contributor and everyone is accountable. Together, the students in her class, who are lovingly referred to as friends, talk about the decisions they make and how those decisions affect others. Brittany believes it is her responsibility to provide life lessons for these friends. They know that Brittany is there for them, and her students know that she cares just as much about their ball game from the previous night as she does about what they made on their math test. It's all a part of their holistic development in which Brittany invests in and in which she so strongly believes. It's always fun to hear what students think of their teacher. So when we asked some of the friends in Brittany's class to share their thoughts, here's what they had to say. Ms. Gaddis is a really good teacher. I love Ms. Gaddis because she lets me play math games on the computer. I am a bit of an expert when it comes to numbers in Ms. Gaddis' class. I love it when Ms. Gaddis reads to us. Ms. Gaddis is so nice to me. You'll probably figure this one out. I love Mrs. Gaddis because she has yellow and brown hair. Okay. Anyway, some of her colleagues at Tate have this to say about her. Brittany brings an excitement and passion for student learning and expert teaching into her classroom daily. Her attention to detail, drive for student performance, and nurturing of the whole child can be seen throughout her classroom and the delivery of her lessons. She is truly a teacher with a heart for her children, her colleagues, and Tate Elementary School. And from another colleague, Brittany Gaddis is not just a teacher. She's a mother, a comforter, a nurse, an entertainer, a counselor, and so much more. It has been such an honor to be able to teach with Mrs. Gaddis. In her room, I've experienced what it means to truly put the child first. It is evident that teaching is much more than a job to Brittany. It is a calling, a true passion. I think that she is a perfect illustration of the following quote: "I will let them be little, fill their hearts with laughter, help them grow wings, nurture their sense of wonder, inspire them to believe, and love them like there is no tomorrow." It is my distinct honor to present to you someone who lives these words daily in our school. Please join me in saluting Tate Elementary's Teacher of the Year, Brittany Gaddis.
How are y'all doing? I'm Shane Purdy, principal of Jasper Middle School. If y'all will, take your attention right over here to the screen. I want you to watch something really quick. Miss Hamilton, it was great, I promise. I promise. Well, I'm glad it's only my first year. All right. Maybe what I say will make up for the silent film that you just saw happen. My wife thought it was good, though. All right. Kim Wonder Woman Hamilton is what I'm going to refer to her as. She is simply amazing in everything that she does. She works just all the time around the clock. She is involved with our Joy Club, the Beta Club, the Math Bowl team. We're really big, and I say we. Mr. Jensen, who I did not train how to speak, I should probably have him up here doing this part, but we really truly believe in a balanced person, and that's mind, body, and spirit. And she is a replica of this, and I want to talk, and I know you're sitting there saying, well, how does this relate to teaching? Well, we're educating a whole entire human being, and I think that, I'll stop on that part. I think we need to get back to that and understand it's not an assembly line education, and we are trying to make sure we are educating the entire human being in all aspects of his or her life. So she lives the example is what I'm trying to say. She maintains a portion of her balance with health. She pushes herself through CrossFit with many of the faculty members twice each week at our school. And I asked some of the ladies in her department, in her grade level, if I should film her to have that part of the video, and they said, don't do that to her, she will be so embarrassed. So I didn't do that part. Another aspect of her life that is balanced is her spiritual side. She is married to a preacher. That doesn't make her any closer to her God at all, but she is married to a preacher. Reflecting on my life of being a preacher's son, I can tell you I have a deep appreciation of what a preacher's wife goes through. And I know she has to be strong, she has to be sympathetic, forgiving, caring, nurturing, and graceful, and throughout all of it. Kind of sounds like a teacher, doesn't it? See, her whole entire life revolves around teaching. Lastly, the reason she is here tonight is her actual ability to teach, and she does it quite well. Before I entered any classroom at JMS, back in August, I studied the teacher's lesson plans and realized Miss Hamilton was onto something pretty good. Actually, I went and told her. I pulled her out of her class and told her, you're good. I mean, if you're as good in the classroom when I come watch you as what I'm seeing on paper, you're really good. So now, Ms. Hamilton, you may have a lot of hits on your website tonight with the people in here that may be looking at your lesson plans. So, but her lessons could actually be used as an exemplar. When I finally had the privilege to watch her teach, I noticed her style was reflective of her lesson plan. She's organized. She has very high expectations, which actually makes me nervous when I go in there. I'm hoping she doesn't call me with 7th grade math. She has great transitions. She never has any downtime. She's totally differentiated. Now, this is lesson plans and the way she teaches. Remember, reflection here. Constantly checking for understanding, and she's confident enough to try something new occasionally. I know I'll try it, but yes, she does. Miss Hamilton, she places everyone else. This is the part that I know who she is by this part right here. She places everyone else, and her husband, I'm sure, can attest to this. She places everyone else's needs ahead of her own. She pours her life into others, which I view as a road to true happiness, helping others succeed. It's also a great attribute of being a leader, which is being a servant. Though I've only known her since August, I'm maybe smart enough, but I think I'm smart enough in this area. Smart enough to realize I'm very fortunate to have her on my staff, teaching our kids math at Jasper Middle School. Ms. Hamilton, thank you for being who you are, and I'm proud to say you're our Jasper Middle School Teacher of the Year.
Pickens County Middle School, and it is my first year, and I am delighted to be here. The PCMS Teacher of the Year is Laura Garner. Laura currently teaches 8th grade social studies. This is Laura's 32nd year of teaching. She taught for 3 years in Cobb County before moving to Pickens County, where her husband had opened an Ace Hardware. Laura has taught every grade, kindergarten through 8th. She started out in early childhood. Rick Little actually talked her into adding middle grade certification when Pickens County Middle School opened. Laura has taught at PCMS for 16 of her 32 years. You might expect someone who has taught for 32 years to be tired of teaching or burned out, but that is definitely not true of Laura. Laura provides dynamic, interesting lessons that students enjoy and will remember. She is a very caring and devoted teacher who is respected and appreciated by her students. I asked Laura today what she enjoys most about teaching, because I figured if you've been doing it 32 years, there must be a lot of things you really like about it. Laura said she enjoys watching students grow in knowledge and character. Being in the classroom where teaching and learning takes place is fun. Every day is different, and every day she finds something that brings her joy. Teaching allows her to challenge herself as well as her students. Teaching is rewarding. She says that she's been able to be a part of the successes of her students and former students. Teachers who work with Laura describe her as hardworking, dedicated, and a friend to all. One of the teachers who works in 8th grade with Laura said she had the opportunity to observe Laura's classroom 20 years ago as a student teacher and was able to learn a lot about how to manage a classroom and how to treat students. Laura is a teacher that other teachers can look up to and go to for advice. She is the kind of teacher other teachers look forward to having on their team. As a parent, even though my children are grown, I can tell you Laura Garner is the kind of teacher I would want my children to have. PCMS is very fortunate to have Laura Garner as a member of our faculty, and she is very deserving of the title of Teacher of the Year. Come on up, Laura.
That concludes the first half of our program. We're going to take a 15-minute intermission, and high school will present our side of the show. Principal Purdy, 14 years I have been trying to get electronic presentation into this. You have opened the floodgates. Mr. Wallace, don't you agree? He's opened the floodgates. So thank you so much for doing that, sir. I appreciate your innovation. Well done. I am so honored to recognize our Teacher of the Year. It would be amiss if I didn't use humor, because he is the master of humor at our school. He is just an outstanding gentleman, Mr. Rodney Martin. I'm going to ask to show you a little bit about him, since I didn't know we could do electronic presentation. I went to the old-fashioned way here. If I could have my School Advisory Council President, Reverend Rhodes, and also my CTA Director, Chris Wallace. We got a couple of gifts that we want to give to Mr. Martin. I think Mr. Wallace would agree with me that we think that Mr. Martin appreciates Spirit Week more so than the kids. And you know, the kids love to have a theme day, like Green and White Day, Nerd Day, College Day. Well, I'm not sure what Mr. Martin is dressed up as here. I think it's Senior Citizen Day. He runs it in. So if y'all could if you could walk around and show everybody, this is how we know Mr. Martin at our school. You might have to kind of go around a little bit and just see. Ronnie, do you remember what day that was? That was
a normal day.
Normal day. Figured you to say that. A lot of people know Rodney for his humor, and he keeps us going, and he keeps us even keeled. One thing that people don't realize is how bright he is. And I was just talking to Mr. Wallace about some of the things that I discovered in this journey with Rodney. You know, Rodney is from Forsyth County. He was born on graduation day in May 28, 1973, and he remembers that. Well, he doesn't remember that. His mother remembers that fondly, because she was a high school teacher at the time, and that was the only time that she missed a graduation while she was a teacher there, was on his birthday, his first birthday. He's very proud of his mother, and he mentions a lot of her in his application. She taught, she was either a teacher, assistant principal, a central office administrator for 49 years, and he credits her for his love of education. Ronnie graduated from the University of North Georgia with a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. He was summa cum laude, and he was salutatorian from North Georgia College. People don't realize that. When he graduated, he was trying to figure out, does he want to go into the medical profession, or did he want to go into the law profession? He actually got accepted to the University of Georgia School of Law, which if I told that to the faculty members at PHS, they'd all have a heart attack if they knew that. So he's a very bright young man, and we're blessed that he chose education as a career. He's been in the business for about 18 years, 7 years at Pickens High School, the rest of it in 11 years in Forsyth County. He's got a lovely wife, Cindy. She's also an educator here. They have 3 children, Emily, Eli, and Abby. And Abby is a 10th grader, and I think Eli is in 6th grade, and Emma's in elementary school, and they're very proud of their kids. Some of the things that Rodney has done for us at the high school they're very proud of. He is our science chair, and because he's our science chair, he's on our school leadership team, so he has helped us with our school improvement plan. He's also a chair of a program called Graduate First, which we just started last year, which was a highly successful program for at-risk kids. And if I remember correctly, Rodney Hall were back on track and graduated, or on track to graduate thanks to his leadership. He's a star teacher finalist 3 different times, which is incredible. And of course, he is our 2014 Teacher of the Year. Don't clap yet, I'm still going, okay? The thing that I really admire about Rodney that people don't realize is that I always, when I go to him, I have to say, Rodney, we need you for this, but you don't have to come. Because I say that to him, and he's one of the few teachers I say that because he's so involved in the school. And I feel guilty asking him to do another thing. So I always say, if you can come, that's great. But one of the things I'm so proud of being a father is that what's more important to him is his family. And he talks about that. And to me, to have somebody who's so involved in the school system who still has the ability to put his family on top means a lot to me. He coaches softball and baseball teams. He and his wife are very involved in the PTSA or PTA in their community, and he's very involved at his church. His advice to teachers is this: most important characteristic of an outstanding teacher is the ability to build a relationship of care, trust, and respect with your students. And Rodney Epidements, he resembles that. He's one of those teachers, you'll see him out in the hallway talking to kids, and he makes a conscious effort to do that, to get to know them, to communicate with them, and to encourage them. He also states in order to strengthen the teaching profession, he would simply just allow teachers to teach. You know, when you talk to Rodney, he's very clear. He feels like sometimes we interfere with their ability to teach. I try hard not to get in his way because I know that he knows what he's doing, and I appreciate him for that. I know his colleagues feel the same. He states that the rewards that he finds in teaching are quite simple. He loves seeing the success of his students. He believes that the time off, the benefits, and this is his humor coming out, the huge salary, all pale in comparison to the knowledge that he has when he impacts a young person's life. The staff, what they say about Rodney, now here comes the real truth. I was telling you what he told me to tell you. Now I'm going to tell you the real truth here. One of our staff members realizes that Mr. Martin, one of the many things that he does, he co-chairs our PBIS program. For those of you don't know what PBIS is, our new discipline, proactive discipline program, and he chairs it for the high school. This staff member says that Mr. Martin's positive and humorous approach towards the change has made the faculty and staff at Pickens High School appreciative why this program has been implemented and how important it is for the success of all. Mr. Martin's humorous presentations demonstrate an effective form of leadership and persuasion. And now you know why I have you on that committee, so I appreciate you helping the faculty ease into this process. Another faculty member said that one of Mr. Martin's finest moments was when the Pickens High School senior class of 2013 selected him as their keynote graduation speaker. How many of you remember hearing him speak at that? Many of you do. Do you not agree he did a good job? I thought he did. I learned a lot about him at that time. Mr. Martin gave a commencement speech that was creative and inspirational. Students, parents, and the faculty greatly appreciated his message of gratitude and dedication towards one's goals. And if those of you that remember, Rodney took us down a journey of his life where he struggled a little bit on some of his decisions. And so he really taught the kids that, you know, it's okay to struggle as long as you keep moving forward. And did a very good job, sir. I appreciate that. Now, the real experts here. You know, I polled the kids. What did they say about Mr. Martin? And boy, they say some good stuff here. Mr. Martin is a very caring teacher, and he always tries to make sure his students succeed. Mr. Martin is strict, but not harsh. If you're doing something distracting, he will tell you stop, but always turns it into a joke of some sort. There's that humor coming out. Mr. Martin is a great teacher because he has a good sense of humor, good school spirit, and he takes time to work with each student individually. He helps me remember the material better due to his fun way of teaching. Mr. Martin is a great teacher because he's patient, kind, and hilarious. Not only is he a great teacher, but he's also a great person. He's a teacher that I will never forget or say anything negative about. And finally, Mr. Martin does everything he can to make sure every student understands what we are doing. He is also a great teacher because he changes up now when we learn things so his class is never boring. Also, he respects all of his students no matter what. And the last thing I want to show you, if I have my lovely assistants come back up here for a second. So we showed you a funny picture of Mr. Martin. I want to show you, this is one, this picture to me, I will always remember him. And this is what I think of Mr. Martin. I will tell you, he was speaking to the kids at a pep rally. And so we'll let them see this. And this is him at his best. And it says here, I wrote a little note. I had to get my handwriting in here. It says, Mr. Martin, super congrats, PHS Teacher of the Year 2014-2015. Who could have guessed? Congratulations.
Rodney, I'll get him back for that first glossy, that he showed. I'll take care of it. Let's stand and give all of our teachers of this year a standing ovation.
announce our new County Teacher of the Year, I'd like to ask our 2014 Teacher of the Year, Robin Pickens, to stand and be recognized, please. A great teacher is certainly remembered and appreciated forever by his students. Effective teachers have a tremendous impact on the lives of our children. They have a very far-reaching effect. I continue to believe that excellence in teaching is both a science and an art. And I also believe that it is a calling, because I believe that God sends them to us as a gift to our children. I'm sure you agree with me. Here are some things that I know about great teachers. John, you mentioned this one. They have tremendous passion for our children, for teaching and for learning. They hold high expectations for themselves and for their students. They implement data-driven instructional planning. They look at the data, they study it, they know what it means. They focus on their subject area. That's right, they know the curriculum inside and out. They motivate, engage, encourage, and they inspire our children. They connect with students, and they also connect with parents. And they actively seek professional learning. You see, they want to be the best that they can be. They provide that visionary leadership to our schools. All of our Teacher of the Year representatives could have easily been selected as the Pickens County Teacher of the Year. Our judges, you may remember this. You told me how difficult it was to choose only one, because we had so many that were deserving, all of them. As you have heard from our principals, our representatives are exemplary, dedicated teachers who have a strong commitment to their students. I enjoyed so hearing all the wonderful things about all of you. On behalf of our children, we extend a huge, heartfelt thank you for the wonderful job that you do each and every day. Now, there's only one bag left. It's time for us to honor and to recognize our Pickens County Teacher of the Year. The 2015 Pickens County Teacher of the Year, and the one receiving a $1,000 check from the Pickens County Board of Education is, here we go. This is fun. Oh, beautiful. To honor your commitment to excellence in education, Kelly Weaver. Are you able to sing anything?
I'm so honored. I'm so honored to be among the best at Pickens County. So many have taught me here. I've been part of your lives, and I'm so thankful. This is such an honor. Thank you so much.
Carlton, Jasper Elementary School.
Awesome.
Kelly, you were supposed to speak a lot longer than this. Too emotional.
know if I can keep it together. This is 2 years in a row that I have been honored to be a parent of a student who has been in a teacher's class that's been the Pickens County Teacher of the Year. And I can honestly say that it's just amazing what some of the teachers do and how they inspire children. And it's been a privilege to be on the board for the last 4 years and be a part of what some of the teachers are in Pickens County. And to be a part of that is just unbelievable. And I'll continue to support that over the next years. We supported the teachers and the schools long before I was on the board, and it's just amazing to be a part of Pickens County, and I'm honored. It's a blessing. There is one thing that, I know that you guys don't want to hear from me, but we have the privilege of having an honored guest with us. There's one more recognition that we would like to give, that we couldn't wait any longer to present this. This person stands behind a camera most of the time, and you're going to find them in our community, anywhere that you go and look. And she really stands behind Pickens County education. And I know she doesn't want any recognition. She has no idea about this. But we are pleased to present Mrs. Mary Livsey with the honor of the 2014 GSBA Electronic Media Beacon Award. And she is honored for this in the whole state of Georgia by GSBA. And all of the gifts that were provided to all of our great teachers that are here tonight. If people would just make sure that you let our community members know how much we really appreciate them supporting our teachers. Trinity Insurance gave a gift to the winner, and also we had gifts from the IBM Credit Union of Jasper, Sackett's Western Wear, 61 Main, the Carriage House, LJ Telephone Company, Woodstock First Baptist Church Jasper, Jasper Drugs and Clock Tower Gifts, Sensations Boutique, Papa John's Pizza, and Days Chevrolet Service Center. So be sure that you frequent those businesses and let them know how much that we appreciate them supporting our community and supporting our kids and our teachers. And I hope everyone has a great night.